We're all getting crushed by subscriptions. Don't hate the player, hate the game. The reason most people pick the wrong tools, they're copying someone else's setup without understanding the game they're actually playing. A solo creator doesn't build like a small team. A small team doesn't build like an agency. And an agency doesn't build like a SaaS company. So no top 10 apps list. No scrolling through tools I don't actually use. I'm showing you the exact stack we run across AI startups and a content team. What we self-host, and how we are saving over $900 per month. But first, workflow, because once you understand that, the tools finally make sense. Before we start talking about those tools, let's make something clear. There is no such perfect tool. We have to understand your situation, because everything I'm recommending is based out of our opinion, our use case, our team size. If you are a solo creator or freelancer, you have completely different recommendations. I would consider our team a small team. We see things differently. I would also put ourselves in the content creator bucket. At the same time, we are building our own SaaS applications and running an agency. So that shapes, of course, our perspective. So before giving recommendation, really, you have to understand who you are and what you need. As a freelancer, I would highly recommend using Notion. But for us, Notion isn't really the top choice anymore. We have been using Notion to document our knowledge, but we have changed it completely. While Airtable is still there, we have changed everything around Airtable, and we are building and explaining why. To give you a glance overview, before we are talking about the tools, this is our tool stack in a nutshell. We are using Airtable as our main tool and Windmill as our orchestration layer. This is where we are running all our automations. At the same time, we are separating project management from data management. So we are using ClickUps to handle projects. This is how it's basically looking. On the data layer, we have Airtable. On my personal layer, I'm using Obsidian with Claude Code, which we will discuss in a bit. Everything comes together and we have the orchestration layer that runs everything. When it comes to project management, we are using ClickUp mainly for the content team, but we are using Linear for the development team. If you are a solopreneur or freelancer, I would still recommend using Notion. It has everything. You can do project management, you can do data management, you can do documentations, and it brings everything together. Let's have a look at a typical content production pipeline. Most YouTube channels or any kind of content production, you have those phases. You start with an idea, then you write a script, then you produce it, you edit everything that you have recorded, review it, publish it, and distribute it across all the social platforms. This is very important to understand, because if you are running a streaming channel, then maybe you don't spend so much time in idea creation or script writing, but you are just recording, editing, and publishing straight. So it's a very linear process. But then let's just say you are running a documentary channel. You have to iterate a lot. So script writing and production goes hand in hand. It's a messy process. And that's why we are separating project management and data management. Everything you collect is straightforward. For example, you are collecting competitors' data. It's not changing a lot. Your competitors uploads a video, we collect that video, and it's getting processed. But if you are shooting somewhere in an unknown country with unknown territories, you have to coordinate with a lot of different people. This is messy data. You are like writing things down, you want to mark them as done and move on. While this looks all the same, the fundamentals can change quite a lot here. In our case, let's talk about a typical content pipeline. But to be more specific, let's just use this channel. This is a quite small channel, and everything actually starts with an idea. Some of those ideas are collected, and it's a mix, like storing the collection inside of Airtable. Sometimes I'm writing things down and I'm using Obsidian because it's perfectly connected with Claude. The data goes into the Airtable content database because once I know what I want, it's a more linear process. In this workflow, because this is a quite small team, I'm actually just having an editor and that's it. So the task goes into ClickUp, but this step for my channel could be completely skipped. Now, We are then recording the video. For the recording process, I'm using Descript, and the editing is also happening in Descript. Why? Because those videos here are quite simple. Thumbnails, we are using Canva, and that's where we are doing the simple graphics as well. For social scheduling, we are using Vista Social. We then distribute it to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. For other automations, we are running Windmill in the background. Now, this is a simple, straightforward process. But how does it look like if we are actually building something? So for this channel, I'm starting with Obsidian as a personal brainstorm assistant. I can draw ideas, I can iterate, and basically just throw in everything before I make a decision. Then I move it to Linear. Linear and ClickUp are similar but fundamental different, because Linear is really targeting towards developers and ClickUp is like the all-in-one tool. Linear feels more straightforward for developing tasks. We use Slack for communication, Windsurf or Cursor for development, but lately we are also using Anti-Gravity and then some other things we need depending on what startup we are talking about. Like we are using Remotion for video process and Modal, which is absolutely great. I just discovered this by the end of the year. We'll talk about this in a bit. And because we are using a larger data set, we are not storing the data in Airtable. The user data actually goes to Superbase, and we have different infrastructure here. We are using Sanity CMS or S3 for storage. Windmill is our automation layer, and Chatwood for customer support. We can see this tool stack is already looking fundamentally different than this one. All right, let's jump straight into the tools. We will start by explaining what I think are the fundamental tools. The tools that are hard to switch, because this is basically what we have built all our systems around. Airtable is really the centerpiece. It's our most important tool. This is where we store and collect data. Of course, there are alternatives for it. If we look at the alternatives, if I would be a freelancer, I would definitely go and use Notion, and it covers almost everything. But if you are building an app, an MVP, you might look for other databases. While Airtable is great to run internal processes, it's not the best tool to host your application. While your database, you can have 100,000 rows depending on your plan. The issue is, let's say you would store chats. Now that bucket would fill quite quick, and those 100,000 records didn't seem like a lot anymore, which why you have to switch to something like Superbase, which is having like Postgres under the hood, and this is perfect for developing quick. When it comes to automation, Windmill is really like a tool which we discovered early 2025, and this had a really big impact on how we just orchestrate things now. Before, we have been using Make.com and N8N, which are still great tools because you can click around and build things fast. But as soon as you understand how to utilize Windmill with the CLI, you'll notice how much faster you can actually build things if you are understanding the fundamentals of it. Claude Code has become really also one of the most used tools. Personally, I think I spent more time in Claude Code than on any other tool. Why? Because it's like the assistant for everything. If I want to write a script, I'm using Claude Code. If I'm brainstorming, I'm using Claude Code. If I want to build an automation, I'm using Claude Code. And while there are alternatives, I would consider Windsurf and Cursor in the same bucket, though they have other intentions. But I think there is really not another tool like Claude Code in specific because of Claude's skills. If there is one thing I would learn in 2025, that's Claude's skills. I think that's the greatest and best addition, and this is the number one suggestion I would always give. Learn how to utilize Claude's skills. When it comes to hosting, especially if you want to run some self-hosted apps, I would recommend Elestio. There are other alternatives, and for example, you can use DigitalOcean or Railway, and there are also great apps. The simplest platform out there for self-hosting, this is the way to go. We are using Google in so many ways, from Gemini. Anti-Gravity is such a great tool now. Notebook LM, their studios, Flow, like the list is so massive. They have so many tools. If I would be on a budget, I would definitely buy a Google Pro account because it's just worth it. I think there is no company that gives you so much value for $20 on the cheapest plan, where you have the storage, where you have all those tools with more limits. This is crazy. So I think in the AI race, Google is already winning. And I don't know how the other companies can compete against that. But to run everything, we have also to talk about the AI providers, because of course, like 2025 was dictated and everything was running around AI. I learned this lesson already 1 year before. API gateway is very important. If you are building an automation and you just notice the amount of new models that are coming is so crazy, and you do not want to change all the time, if you are using an API gateway, you have basically one automation setup where you can just change the model itself or the provider. Personally, we are using Straico quite a lot. If you are betting on the tool that will survive in the future, I would say go with OpenRouter, because that's the safest bet. It's never having issues. And this is basically how we are doing it. We are running Straico, and if it's failing, we have a backup, and then OpenRouter is taking over. The philosophy applies also to media generation. You want to have an API gateway that contains all the different models. Because let's be honest, all the models are changing. Yesterday it was Nano Banana 1, now it's Nano Banana 2, and tomorrow it will be Nano Banana 3. There are so many different models popping out. Our recommendation here is file, but you can also use alternatives such as Replicate. Now, there are also providers that provide free credits. And our recommendation here is use Grok. This is a fantastic tool, not only because it has the cheapest Whisper alternative. If you're running a lot of transcription, this is the cheapest provider out there. They have a lot of different free models, like completely for free. You can actually run a lot of those AI models on this platform for free. Now, there are, of course, alternatives. You can use Google. They provide some free credits, but not a lot. Amazing for free models and cheap Whisper, cheap transcription. If I would recommend a premium chat interface, I would consider something like a chat tool different than AI API usage, because while I could use Straico or OpenRouter or whatever tool to chat, I still would buy one Pro subscription. This is a preference choice. You can go Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT. This is like really a preference choice. But in my case, my recommendation here would be definitely Claude. And we have all those 3 Pro subscriptions. I think on Claude we have 2 Pro subscriptions, GPT, and here also a Pro subscription. Now, the main reason is they have projects, and of course they have other benefits like deep reasoning, deep research, and so on, like many other things. If you have a Gemini account and are on a budget, go with Claude and Gemini. I think GPT is the first thing I would skip. But as a personal assistant, it's also still good. Let's run over some other tools I'm recommending. As mentioned on our automation stack, we are now completely using Windmill. We are trying to take out really all the other automations that are still there step by step, so that our complete tool stack in terms of like automation is just one tool. Now, those 2 tools here are, I would consider, not something most people need, but definitely worth to mention. If you are working a lot with video, take a look at Remotion. You can code visuals in a simple way. And then there is Modal. That's a platform I just discovered quite late. This is fantastic. There are alternatives like Lightning AI, but Modal is fantastic if you want to render something. So for example, if you are running an FFmpeg script, the issue is we could self-host that, but sometimes we just want to render more. And because our Windmill instance is running on Elestio, we are limited based on our virtual machine. But on Model, you have $30 free credit, and it's incredible. We will talk about this in other videos later on. This is a great tool. Now, let's talk about development tools. So I think in the future, and it's already happening, more and more creators are creating their own tools. There are so many times that you want to have your own tool for just your use case. Like maybe no other person in the world needs this. Now it becomes so easy that literally everyone can build a tool. There are 3 fundamental differences. If you want the simplest possible all-in-one solution, I believe there is actually no alternative, but Replit is the way to go. It's great for beginners, but expensive at scale. Replit has a built-in integration with a database and also storage. So it's like this all-in-one platform that combines everything. Not only that, but also logic. Like, for example, Lovable or Bold or Base 44, they are great for quick front ends. If you want to develop something, a prototype, a landing page, or maybe a directory, this is where you want to use Lovable. I think it's better than those alternatives. There are way more, of course, but Lovable is still the easiest, ready to use software. The difference, I would say, between Lovable and Replit is here you can integrate automations, AI agents, and logic. Windsurf, Windmill, or init, for example. So Lovable is just for the front end and maybe connecting it with your database, but it's like lacking logic in a way that it makes sense. Maybe Bolt is trying to do that a little bit, but I don't see it yet. While I have Windsurf here, because that's a tool we used a lot in 2025, what I'm finding ourselves are actually, we are using now more anti-gravity and Claude code over Windsurf. So I'm not sure yet, but I think we will cancel Windsurf and replace it with anti-gravity in combination with Claude code. So project management already discussed. ClickUp is the all-in-one tool. If you are working on development projects, I would still consider Linear as a better tool. There are many different tools like Monday.com. For a personal project manager, I would recommend Notion. For a team project manager, I would recommend ClickUp actually. And if I would just choose between one of those 2 tools, I would go with ClickUp. Content creation and how we are editing. Now, I haven't listed all our tools because that depends on the channel. But for this channel here, we are using mainly Descript for video editing, but also recording, and a little bit Resolve and a little bit Final Cut Pro. Now, Descript really takes the video editing process quite some notches faster, but at the same time, it has many stability issues. Recording this video alone, I don't know, like this app was crashing already 2 times. I'm already thinking switching Descript. It's a love and hate relationship. I would like to love it, but at the same time, I really hate it. But then there is no real alternative to the Descript. It's working, but not so good. When it comes to social media management, we are using Vista Social. Now, that's actually something we bought from AppSumo. We will talk about AppSumo in a bit because that's where you can save a lot of money. Vista Social is an application where you can handle all your social media accounts. You can collect comments, post on any platform, and connect it through make.com or API. And this was definitely one of the greatest deals we had bought from AppSumo. Now, we are also using Canva and pitch.com for design, though I have to say, of course, Figma is the better tool, but because Canva is so easy and for most of our design applications, it's fine enough. The templates, they have the assets. That's why simplicity wins at this point. Maybe we are switching to Figma, but I wouldn't consider ourselves pro enough. And that's why we are still using Canva and pitch.com for those purposes. All right, let's to infrastructure. Sanity is our preferred CMS. If you don't know what a CMS is, we will talk about this in a bit because I'm showing also some examples why we are using what tool. But in a nutshell, it has an insane free tier. You have 100 gigabyte of free media storage and 10K documents for free, which is absolutely crazy. There is no other tool that provides this amount of free tier. Storage, we are also using Google Cloud, G Drive, and so on. For fast storage or caching, we are using Amazon S3. But because it's always a hassle to set up things if you are not constantly working on it, we are thinking to switch everything to Google or Cloudflare. S3 is really great integrated in Windmill, but in terms of easiness, we might switch in the long run. And now personal management, while everything else was seen from the perspective of a team and a company level, this is really just a personal preference. I truly believe Obsidian is one of the greatest tools out there. And I had a quite extensive personal knowledge management journey behind me, like really going all the rabbit hole down from literally every tool out there, from Tana, Capacities, Heptabase, Affine Pro, everything. I have watched, I have tried, I have used them all extensively. But then when Claude Code introduced Claude Skills, it just makes sense. Like those two in combination, it's like a dream come true. I will also show some examples here so that you understand why Obsidian is a beast, really a beast. If you are looking for a step-by-step SOP application that guides you through Click, I would recommend Guidejar. If you want SEO and need an app for that, Neuron Writer. Reaching Inbox was also a great buy from AppSumo. And then we have, of course, Slack in our team, Canva, Vercel, Discord, Link.io, and of course, GitHub. Okay, with so many apps, there is, of course, like this big question. How do we save money? Yes, it's getting expensive quite quick. Now, there are a couple of options here. And I do recommend 3 main options. First of all, you do not need all the tools. You can reduce your tool stack. So the first and cheapest way is do it yourself. You can self-host everything on a virtual machine, almost every application we talked about. You cannot self-host Airtable, for example, but you can self-host an alternative to it. There are a lot of great Airtable options out there that are almost as good as Airtable. Then there is AppSumo. AppSumo is a platform, and back then I really loved it. But it's also like this love-hate relationship. On one side, it's great because they give opportunities to small app builders. But on the other side, if you are building on top of an app and your whole infrastructure relies on this app, if this app is dying, it's something you cannot really pay with money back because you are losing so much time. It's creating so much chaos. I would now see AppSumo as an addition, but I would never buy something again if the application is really embedded into our ecosystem. Then I discovered Elestio. And this is really one of the greatest tools out there, applications or infrastructure, however you name it. Basically, they handle the self-hosting part for you. It's like you can click and deploy your apps in the easiest possible way, but then they are also handling everything else, like the updates. They have a great support. You just click and it just works. So we will have a look at those 2 options here. It's probably the 2 options that are the most interesting because here you can really save a lot of money. All right, this is AppSumo. This is a platform where you find a lot of different applications, and a lot of those applications are like a rebuild of an existing application, but just cheaper. Way cheaper, and you are basically going the risk because most of those applications are in the very early stage and you don't know if they are surviving. But if they do, you are saving a lot of money. It's like you are investing in this app and hoping they will survive. I've bought good deals and I've bought really bad deals here on this platform. Let's just go over some of the products I bought. I probably have spent on this platform probably $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 US or something like that. But we can see here that there are a lot of good applications as well. Guidejar was a good one. Partner is a good one. Writer is a good one. But since 2025, I actually didn't bought a lot of software anymore because I've switched to open source more and more. But AppSumo still has some good deals, sometimes even deals of really well-known software. If we look at this here, this is a bundle for $69, which is absolutely crazy. Why? Because you have a 1-year subscription of Bolt, a 1-year subscription of Reclaim, Hostinger, Pika, Emergent, and that for this price. Come on, this is crazy. Let me show you one of the best deals I've bought on AppSumo. Back in 2023, I bought this application for, look at this price, $247, but this here is Vista Social. And if we look how much they are charging now, we can see the same price I've paid almost. That's what they charge now per month. Now, keep in mind, I have 80 social profiles and all the features. You can count the amount I have saved on this application. We are running roughly around 100 social media channels. So I bought 2 of those deals, and that saved us a lot of money. Even if we look at those alternatives, which are more expensive, like we can go here and they are charging per channel here, but then also in addition to users, and you can see how quickly the price is already like raising here. But when we go to Hootsuite, which is the craziest, that's what we used before we switched to Vista Social. And when we'll just look at the price here, it's crazy because this is per user. Come on. This is just insane. 300 per user. Crazy. So yeah, definitely one of the best deals, like a one-time fee for this amount. And since 2023, we are using this platform on a regular basis. It's working. But then everything changed because I have discovered Elestio. And since then, we have not looked back. You can run so many applications for free, basically. And the best part is, if those applications go broke, you still have the version of it. So you are not like completely ditched away and now your whole infrastructure is falling apart. No, you can still use the application. The application will maybe not be updated. But I remember one application we have used on AppSumo, and it was integrated in our entire ecosystem. So the application I'm talking about is Sessions, and we completely were not notified and the application was not working. From one day to another, it was gone. And now team members didn't know where to record, where to store all the transcription, because everything was like automated. Without notice, the application was gone. That's why we are now switching to open source software if it makes sense. Again, like Airtable is not open source, and a lot of the other applications are also not open source, but if it makes sense and you find it here, then use it. To give you an idea how big their tool stack is, you can go to their database and see they really have a huge list of apps. It's crazy. To showcase how simple it is to install any application, let's run it through one time here. All right. So what you want to do, because you want on one virtual machine, basically, different kind of application. But if your virtual machine is too small, you can't run like 1 million applications. I've done this. That's something you can definitely avoid. So the first thing is you want to go to CI/CD here. And now you can choose any application you like. Since n8n is one of the most popular tools, you select n8n. You choose the virtual machine, so the provider where the application is being run and hosted. Here you can choose a quite cheap one. This will cost you $15 a month, which is a little bit more expensive than if you would go straight to the provider. But keep in mind, if you are self-hosting, it's managing everything on your own. To run this software on Elestio are so worth it. It's literally the simplest you can do. Now you just select here, either you deploy on an existing machine or you create a new one. Let's create a new one to showcase, run it. And now all you need to do is wait. It's building on its own. How simple was that? All right. Now let's just have a look what else you could do. You could deploy, of course, like more into that. And here you can go into everything. My beloved Windmill app is also here. And you can install databases. You can also check alternatives by asking ChatGPT. For example, let's say you need an Airtable alternative because Airtable is too expensive. You do not want to pay $20 a month. Now you're asking ChatGPT something like, hey, give me an Airtable alternative that is hosted on Elestio, because you probably don't want to go through the list and read everything. Here you go. This is the recommendation, and I can definitely confirm NoCoDB is a great application. So you can choose between those two options, and now you have a free Airtable base. So let's just go back, look for the application, and here we go. We have NoCoDB. We select this one. We want to install this into our existing CI/CD pipeline. Now let's just create this one. It's already existing in my database. Let's just rename it here, also new. All right. And here we go. Now we have those two applications. They are running in the background. And why not install another application, Notion alternative? Let's do it. But let's run the applications here. Keep in mind, we are running all those 3 applications on a $15 machine here. And those application has basically not really any limitations. Of course, you can buy the enterprise version, which allows you to do more stuff, but you can do already almost everything those versions here. So here, let's just go, and of course, I will delete those credentials and everything later on, but let's just copy those 2 here, open this one and sign in. And now we can start to build. Here we have our application running. It's not for free, but for $15, you can run a couple of applications. Keep in mind, you don't have to pay per user or per execution run. You can run as many automations as you like. Now you have your own tool stack. You have your database, you have your automation, and you have even like your alternative in Notion. Let's have a look here. Also checking if it's running. Let's create a dummy workspace here. Great. I have now my self-hosted Notion alternative, which is working fantastic. Fusion between Miro and Notion. It's a definite fantastic application. I have used this and I'm still using it for a lot of things. We can have mind maps. We can zoom in. It's snappy. It's like fast, no lags, and all self-hosted. And the best part is I can invite my team members and I don't have to pay per team member. But they can all use this here, basically depending, of course, on the community version using here. If you don't like to use those applications anymore, you are also not really tied on a monthly or a yearly plan. Because if you are like deciding, you know what, I don't want this anymore, you can just delete this entire service. That's it. No yearly plan, no monthly plan. I would advise to save it first before doing it. But let's just delete the service here because we don't need the service anymore. Done. Now your service is cleared. Let's talk about what else you can do to save money. Let's talk about CMS because that becomes more important. You want to build your homepage around a CMS. You can argue that with code editors, you don't need a CMS. There is like this huge debate about that. But if you are already using something like Webflow, I would highly recommend having a look at something like Sanity. Like we are building a lot of applications now where we are running Sanity as our CMS. Just look at the pricing and don't tell me that is also convincing. If we are looking here on the Webflow side, Flow is probably the most popular CMS tool for non-coders. You have 10,000 CMS items and 100 gigabyte. If you look at the free plan here and what they are offering for free, basically, you have 100 gigabyte free assets, 100 gigabyte free bandwidth, and 10K documents. Again, for free. This is crazy. Now, if you don't know what a CMS is, let's visualize it on a simple demo. A CMS is basically a way where you can write information, and this is very simplification. Let's say you have different team members listed, but instead of going into your application and changing the name or phone number of each member, the data is inside a database. For example, here you have the name. This is from Webflow, and this on the left side is Sanity. If you change the name, it would change here as well. If you change the biography, it would change this one. If you change the image, it would change this one. So you have one design, and now this design is changing. So you have, for example, different authors. Okay, so let's just open author here, and let's just say we have those authors. Now, if you just have 2 or 3 authors, that wouldn't make any sense. But if you have maybe 20 team members and they are always changing job applications, job postings, or let's just say you want a directory of the newest AI tools. That's where you want really to have a CMS collection, because the design, look at this, if I click, it's the same design. If I go to his account or profile, it's the same design. The only thing that is changing is the content, like the image, the name, and this information. If I go to the next one, what is changing is the image, the name, and this one. The design itself is always staying the same, but the content can be changed. In Webflow, it looks different, but it's always the same principles. Why are you not using Airtable? Because Airtable is not built for it. You want a system that is really built for it and is specific, like the image, how they process it. There are many different use cases in how you can use a CMS. A CMS collection, for example, if you have different services, if you are writing articles, if you have team members, if you want to share topics, testimonials from clients you have worked with, or products like e-commerce products, clients, authors, projects, like literally everything where you have a collection of whatever items and then you have informations about those collections. And yeah, it's for free. And like on all our applications where we are using the Sanity, we have not upgraded yet because the free account or the free version here is already giving us enough. Keep in mind, without limitations that are like bothering us. Yeah, here, if you are using the monthly plan, which we had used before, it's $49 per site versus $0 per site. All right, another free alternative here in, for example, sharing your documents. Let's just go back one step here. And let's go back to Obsidian. Now, inside of Obsidian, which you can, of course, extend to whatever you like. But if you want to share those documents, you have actually also a couple of options. Of course, you could fetch the data now into a CMS collection, but there is actually a way simpler way here. So in order to use and sync Obsidian, you can have those community plugins. And one of the most useful plugins is you can connect your documents with Git. Once it's in Git, all you need to download is basically like any Next.js template. So this is basically what I would recommend. Go to and just type in Next templates. They have fantastic looking templates. For example, always looking for something where I could share my docs. The problem, if you have ever shared a Notion doc, is you can't really share nested layers. If you share a Notion doc, it's quick and easy, but you can share only single documents or you share a database, but you cannot follow the path, which is making sharing not really a pleasing experience in specific if your knowledge base is a little bit larger. But here they have templates. For example, I was using a different template, but you can look here, they have really great looking templates with also documentations, knowledge bases. And now you can share your Obsidian base completely for free. You can have a front end where you talk about the application and like about this whole tool stack. And now all you need to do is ask AI, okay, here is this template. Please sync it with my Git and put my data in there. And now you have basically the same. At the same time, you have all the flexibility. For example, we just talked about the Toolstack 2025 here. I can share this link and we can go here and see all the nested layers. So we can navigate, we have a search bar, and we can also customize it to however we like. So for example, I'm always loving a draw pen. So I just ask AI, hey, I want to display my mermaid charts. If I click on it, I want to open it. And then I want to have this drawing tool because I love to show things. I can say we are using linear and click up and select. And now I want to clear everything. Here we go. So now we have a perfect representation of my Obsidian Vault in the way I want it. If I would share again like a Notion doc, I would not have this nested layer option, or not the easy way at least. But here I have it exactly how I want it. And now let's talk about Obsidian, one of the last tools. It's also completely free and why I love it. First of all, let's talk about one of the features I love so much in Obsidian, and that's this integration here. We have here a mind map. And unlike other mind maps, it allows me really to customize specific things and load templates directly with Obsidian. I can pull in my notes. For me, the most useful thing is all those mermaid charts were generated by Claude code. I set up a skill, and when a chart is needed, the skill was being utilized, and now it's generating those charts for me. So now I just have to explain what I want to talk about, record it a little bit, and it's writing everything for me. And not only that, but now I can take this code snippet here, copy it, and the great part is I can just paste it in, and now we have this visualization here. That's great. Sometimes it has some issues, but actually it's working most of the time really great. Maybe I like this one here, and I want to talk about this chart, and here we go. We have this chart here, and now we can move things around. Again, I have not generated those charts. I was just explaining what I have in mind, and Claude Code was able to link my documentation here with the apps. How do I use linear? How do I use click? It's all connected. I can open it. I can see the other connections. I can see my visualizations here, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, we could talk really for a long time about Obsidian and what you can do with it. Possibilities here are endless. They have so many plugins. But let me show you one of the craziest and most helpful things I just discovered and like playing around with. So I'm loving like flowcharts. But I thought like, why not also animating this? So here in Obsidian, we don't even need to use another application. You can use whatever app you prefer, like Motion Canvas or Revideo. Now I just press Command-Shift-M and it's asking me, hey, I noticed you have two charts here. Which would you like to turn into a video? And now I'm just selecting, you know what? Just turn those two charts into a video. Here we go. We have this chart. So let's keep it simple here. We have this task flow and it goes from idea to script, production, editing, and so on. The only thing I did was pressing this keyboard combination and now it opened this for me and it rendered basically it took not even a second. Like I just pressed this combination and it was opening instantly, and now it created this little animation for me. How awesome is that? And again, you can do so many things with it. Let's just take a look at another use case. Let's just grab this profile here. Let's go back to Obsidian. And now I have this tiny competitors board here. All right. So here inside, I just have this button. And now it's asking me, give me the Instagram profile and how many videos would you like to scrape and analyze? Let's just keep it at 10 and let's submit this one here. All right, now it's running in the background. Here we go. It already created a folder. We just wait now for the transcript files. So we paste the URL, it fetches the reels, it transcribes them, write a breakdown and the overview, and of course formats it in the correct format here. Here we go. We have now the transcript of all those 10 videos. We can see like the plays, the hook, what CTAR is he using, any insights of video 1, 2, 3, and so on with the link, and also a nice overview with a general pattern structure of this video. This is a very simple example. Of course, you can do so many more things with it, and there are so many great community plugins involved. One of the coolest things is, for example, this entire script here is not using init or not even Windmill, but the script is run locally. Of course, the providers are like, I'm not sure anymore. I think for this one, it's maybe Google. Yes, that's not local, of course, but everything else, like even the transcription, you could do local. Like you can download Whisper and run a script, don't pay for it. It's like local. The video rendering that I just showed before, local as well. And now, last but not least, the most helpful tool here, Claude Code. If there is one thing I would encourage everybody to learn, it's learning skills. Skills is like the number one thing that really helped me to boost everything. It's crazy how great this is. All you need to do is basically install Claude. You can also download the web version. For now, I have it running inside of Windsurf, where you can change the model. You can switch and download some plugins, which will be too much to cover. Try to learn skills. You have a folder inside your workspace. Now you can do it project-based or global-based, but let me just show you what I mean. We have, for example, a mermaid chart skill. It can generate in the specific style, like your mermaid charts. It can showcase what colors you want to use, what styles, and you can iterate on those. The great thing and how skills work is basically like different projects. When we are going back, how we have built things before, we basically had a lot of those Claude projects. Now, I would say those Claude projects are like a small version of what you can do with skills. The big issue is, let's say you have a prompt maker, a prompt generator, a mermaid helper, a YouTube helper. You would need to go individually into those projects. Let's say you have this crazy app idea. You want a mermaid helper. You want some skill that is creating the database for you, maybe something that is writing the Python scripts. If you have a broader idea where you need multiple skills, that's really where skills come in. Because now the AI agent can decide, what do I need now? Do I need windmill? Do I need mermaid? Do I need a script? Do I need a voiceover? It can jump between those skills. And not only that, but you can actually make it also execute things for you. So unfortunately, I cannot show the skill, but you can see on the side here, this is a quite extensive skill, but what I can show here is this YouTube channel. What this skill can do is execute workflows for us. For example, on our channel, we have a windmill script. This windmill script has a location. So it understands if you are responding for a sponsorship, don't just respond randomly, but pull in the newest analytics from the specific channel. And after that, you are doing step 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, this is a quite extensive skill here. But it first understands this is a request for this channel. And now execute the workflow for us, get the newest analytics, and now infuse the sponsorship email with the newest data. Not only that, it can then look up and execute another skill like researcher. The possibilities here are endless, but let's keep it simple. A skill, think of it like a project. You have now an agent that can run all kind of projects under a hood without switching to a project, then to a project, or a custom GPT and then move to another. No, you have one interaction layer and it has access to all your custom GPTs, all your projects. And that's crazy. It's fantastic. So in a nutshell, what do I've learned in 2025? Actually, quite a lot. First of all, we have been self-hosting a lot of application and I can just recommend it to everybody. Like, it's fantastic. Then this year is maybe a topic I'm discovering later on, but what I've also learned and what I basically want to share rate of things that are looking complicated. For example, windmill, it's code first. My background is not related to any technical stuff here. Don't be afraid of that. With AI, you are able to ask any questions. Once you understand the key principles, you'll understand, like in many cases, going the extra mile is actually absolutely worth it. For example, Obsidian. I was using it back in the days, but because it felt so complicated and you had so many options, it was overwhelming. But now with AI, I was seeing it from a complete different perspective. Because if I get stuck, I can ask AI. If you have a tool that allows you all kind of possibilities, if you ask AI to make that happen, I think the pros are overweighing the cons. Like the argument why people are using, for example, Notion over Obsidian or maybe Heptabase over Obsidian is the simplicity of those other tools. People are spending so much time in customization and building their entire system. But I believe this is actually changing because now you can just ask specific questions. You don't have to plug and play and use 1 million plugins. You can just watch some YouTube videos, then ask AI specific question and build the things you actually want. And the flexibility, I really love tools now with a lot of flexibility, which is why I recommend Obsidian, which is why I recommend Wind. Because once you understand that, it's not something you should be afraid of anymore. You can ask everything. AI. 2025 was quite a stressful year. I've learned a lot. I think I've never learned so much in my life. And I'm really looking forward what else I could learn in 2026. On the one side, I'm afraid what's happening and at what scale, at what speed everything is happening. But on the other side, it's just so exciting to learn all those new tools. I have developed now over the year, I think, 6-7 micro tools. I'm launching soon our first startup. We are working already on the second startup. We are capable now in doing many more things. I think it's great, but also exhausting because you are always afraid of missing out of something. But I think once you find your tool stack and you are happy with it, don't switch, stick to it. I'm not saying Windmill is the only software you should use. I'm not saying, oh, switch, you're happy with Notion, now switch to Obsidian. No, stick and stay with Notion. Only if you really are missing something, then I would consider switching. So I have this extensive documentation here, and I'm giving it for free. You can have a look at it. I'm just thinking about how to share it because I want to make it only for people who are signing up. I'm not yet sure, but I have documented really everything, like the agency stack, the decisions, the pricing, the folder structure, and basically how we operate. It's all documented here with the core tools, how to use ClickUp, how to use Airtable, how to use Notion, everything in here. Yeah, if you are interested, I'm definitely sharing this, but maybe not right away when the video is out, maybe with a slight delay. I hope this video was helpful, not overwhelming, because those are a lot of tools we have talked about. If there is something you would like to know more, if you want to see something more in depth, let me know in the comments. See you till the next one.